I'm really sorry, this is part 2. You have to join the 2 videos together of part 1 and part 2. I hope you find this video as well. I'm going to clearly label it. So let me continue on. My mobile decided to shut me off. So, annoyingly. So, after we were talking in part 1 about the origin of Hinduism, what the word Hinduism means, what their sacred books were originally, the Vedas, what the Vedas imply, this ritualization, these hymns, these songs, these mysterious magical formulas and things in order to connect ourself, the Atman, to the universal God force called Brahman. How do we connect the Atman to the Brahman? So originally in the Vedas it was all about connecting by making sacrifices. Sacrificing means facere, means to make something holy, to make something sacred. So that's where the word sacrifice comes from. Facere in Latin, to make, and sacra means to be sacred, i.e. holy. So sacrifices. So in the Vedas they were talking about animal sacrifices, making fires, do things in a certain way, and the correct pronunciation of hymns. Now where I got to before I was rudely interrupted or cut short by my recording, once we got into that, if this evolved, this idea of Hinduism evolved into, please do stop and refer to part 1. Okay, I'll call this the part 1. I'm going to call it, it's not uploaded yet, I'm going to call it part 1 Hindu Basics, part 1. Okay, so this is going to be Hindu Basics part 2. Let's cut into the chase. So with this idea, what it evolved into was thinking, well, how do I individually connect to God, to Brahman, myself and Brahman? How do I unify the two in the Vedanta? So what they started to do with this text called the Antara, means instrument, Antara Chatushtaya means it looks at the mind, it looks at consciousness. We look at the intellectual faculty of discernment, discernment, perception, constructing and deconstructing the world around us. And then it also looks at the problem is the ahankara. Ahankara means the I maker, which was the end of Hinduism Basics Part 1, where I just got to. It's called, sorry, just interrupted. It's called ahankara. Wait and see, this person interrupts me, but I don't mind. So the ahankara is the I maker, and the I maker is to do with my ego. It's about how we build a false perception of reality around us. How we believe that our real self is a part of this objective reality around us, when the whole point of Hinduism is try to dismantle the I-ness, the ego, and return to an understanding of the self. So the idea of the I, of the you, of the we, is really an illusion. So our perceptions of the material world, stability and things we have around us, the universe is in flux, the universe is all changing, it's evolving. And so as it's evolving and changing, it's illusory, it's transient, it changes. It ain't permanent. It ain't permanent. It's ephemeral, fleeting. So the eye maker of this little system I've talked about is not about ritual and hymns and chants and sacrifices and kneading of Brahmin. It's about internalizing our faith, and by that we look at the mind consciousness and how not to be deceived by Maya, the illusion of the material world around us. It's a big leap forward. It doesn't stop there. I'm now in this podcast now going to move forward into other systems of Hinduism. Now they are part of this system called darshanas. Okay, darshanas means reflections. Reflections, I mean considerations. So Hinduism has this thing called darshanas, D-A-R-S-H-A-N-A. If you want to look into it, do. But I know that I'm going on a deeper level, and you probably may not. It's complicated. So, what happened in the end of the Veda? This idea of Vedanta is called Advaita Vedanta, and Advaita Vedanta means, as I was saying, it means the indivisibility of ourself with Brahman, that we are one with the universal divine force and being. We are oneness. There is no division between ourself and Brahman, or ourselves and Brahman. Brahman and I are one. There is no division between the two. There is no one and one. There is only zero, and the idea beyond zero is nothingness. So there is an indivisible union. That's what it means if you've heard of the term Advaita Vedanta. The A in Greek and also in Sanskrit, the language of the Hindus, is a negator. So it means that Dvaita means two and Advaita means not two. So the end of the Vedas, and Hinduism has this huge great school called Advaita Vedanta, very popular today, which means it's about the unification of our self with Brahman. Brahman being the universal force, all-knowing, all-present, all-conscious, all-luminous, transcendent, but not beyond ourself. Advaita Vedanta. Now, Hinduism then moves forward even more. It looks at how do we begin to connect with this universal force, this universal Brahman. We start to use things such as, first of all, you have to listen to teachings of a holy person, listen to a guru, or a Brahmin, or a guru, or someone you think may understand Hinduism. And the idea is, it's called, you have to listen. Shruti, you have to listen. Shravana, Shruti, you have to listen to what's these wise teachings. Right? And the second way is you then need to develop a reflection, consideration, evaluation. So Hinduism has yoga. Now yoga means union. It's a union in this sense of a union between ourself and Brahman, the all-pervading universal force. So yoga is, it comes from the ancient Sanskrit, yoga, and actually comes before that to Proto-Indo-European, the language which is the ancestor of all European languages, or most of them, and also of the Iran language and Sanskrit and Hinduism, and all from this very primitive, prehistoric kind of language. It's called Proto-Indo-European. Indo, India, European. A common ancestor of all these languages. What do I mean? So the word yoga comes from a stem called yukt. And yukt, from English we have the words, believe it or not, union, junction, conjunction, and yoke, to be yoked to something. The old animals had a yoke on their back. The oxen, to join them together, was called a yoke. All relate to this word yoga. It's all about being joined. Conjunction. What is the conjunction? It's a union. What is a joint? It's a union. What is a... did I just miss anything? So, yoga, we have yoga, and unfortunately, well, doesn't matter, but most Western's perception of yoga is physical positions of the body, like, the stand on one leg is, that position, lie on your back, shramana, is another yogic position, twisting up and doing that, and then, doing that and twisting and doing, they have all these, it's called, that is actually not really what most Hindus will call yoga. It's just a commercialized physical aspect of union with ourself, with Brahman. We've talked about this union is to be found in Vedanta and Advaita Vedanta. It's to be found through your mind, through your intellect, through your understanding, through a perception of the world around you. So twisting yourself in knots and strange positions and things is not to do with your mind or perception or your eye maker, your ego, and related to your physical world around you in any shape or form. That form of yoga is called Hatha Yoga, and Hatha Yoga plays a very, very insignificant role in unifying yourself with Brahman. So, yoga. So we've talked about Vedanta, and we're now going to yoga. Okay, so the idea of the mind, consciousness, and internal reflection using these instruments, Vedanta is also can be called Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga is to do with understanding, deconstructing the world around you, realizing and not becoming fettered and enslaved to the material world around you. I have my well-known, chains. We enchain our ego and our I-ness to the physical objective reality around us, but in really we are true self. We need to break free of these chains we have and not being enslaved to the material world around us. It's a pretty profound thought. Happiness, freeness, joy, contentment, liberation is not deemed to come from material objectivity. So, Jnana Yoga is usually attached to the Vedanta. And by Jnana Yoga, I've looked at some of these ideas relating to your mind, to your consciousness, to yourself. But it is more than that. I'm going to talk about it now. They have this thing, which is a collection of ideas, Jnana Yoga. Let's talk about Jnana Yoga. Excuse me. So they have these 4 ideas, okay, in Jnana Yoga. And we have Viveka, which means mental discrimination, okay. Secondly, we have Vaishagna. Vaishagna means to not colour our feelings and thoughts and ideas with our relationship with the material world around us. Vaishagna. It means to be uncoloured by the effects and experience that we have in the world around us, to be independent of these things, to achieve an independence. And then they have this idea of jnana yoga is you need to have a desire to free yourself from being fettered, i.e. tied to the material world around you. It's called mumeksha. Mumeksha. That means to have a willing desire to be free from anxiety, stress, suffering, false belief in who you are when you're not, to develop a union with the universe. So we have it, this idea of wanting, internally wanting to be free from an addiction, a habit, a problem, a false sense of reality, or wanting to connect to the universal rhythms and harmonies of thereof. So the fourth idea of this chatushtaya is the idea of, this is Uttara Mimamsa, okay? The idea is they have this six, now it becomes easier, they have a six on top of discrimination, not being coloured, wanting to be free. Then the fourth one is they have this called Shat Sampat, and that means six virtues and ideas we can follow. We can make a list of them. Okay, we have being contented with what we have around us, being satisfied with what we have around us. That's called santosha. Being contented, not going up and down, ni good, nor bad, ni right, or just being impartiality, having equanimity. Then they have shausha. Shausha means pure, clean, nice things, saying good things, keeping ourselves clean, our houses in order, keeping a clean aura and energy around us. They call it shausha. Then they have another one in this six virtues, they call it uparati. Uparati means to not be bound to material things, but to be free of the desire to have material wealth, in terms of spiritual wealth in this context. And then there is Parati, there is Titiksha, and Titiksha is forbearance, to be resistant, resilient, wanting to be free of something in the world around us which is maybe causing us anxiety, stress, worry. It's causing us to be deluded about who we really are in relation to the world around us. It's profound and it's complicated. I'm doing my best to simplify it. This is all to do with jnana yoga. So to put jnana yoga, we're talking about the mind, our behavior, our outlook, our perception. Not talking about the yoga which the West calls yoga, which is this twisting and contorting and doing that and sitting on our and doing that, which is all fine, but that's basically just a commercialization of a very small idea of what yoga is. It's all to do with your mind and freeing. It's a mental, physical idea with yourself and unionizing yourself, being free from these things going on. Okay, so I've looked at contentment, equanimity, cleanliness. I've looked at titiksha, resilience, uparati, not being involved in other things. There is also one called tapas, and tapas is about restricting what you do, limiting and controlling, having one less of something rather than having one more of something, and then after having one less of something, then having another one less of the one until you have very little. It's a way of reducing You're concerned from the material things that you have around you. This is fundamental. So in Jnana Yoga, we have the idea of discrimination, discernment of the world around us, not being coloured in point 2, not being coloured by the world around us, Vaishagna, and then we have the idea of wanting to be free, the third of this Jnana Yoga called Mumuksha, a lovely fun word, right? And then you have the fourth pillar of this Jnana Yoga is Shatsampa, which they traditionally called 6 virtues, 6 qualities. And those, we've gone through them now. If you want to make a list, we've got Santosha, Shausha, we have Uparati, Titiksha, i.e. forbearance, resilience, tolerance, not being enslaved by buying all things, Uparati, to be free from all these material things around us. I've got to do, you know, it is quite tricky. The 6th one of these, I've got to, I don't like to, but let me very quickly refer to it. It's complicated, but it's great, okay? We've gone through Advaita. Please bear with me. I apologise for this. It's complicated, okay? We've gone to, if it's not here, I'll have to let it go. Yeah, the Sadhana Chatushtaya. Are you still there? Bear with me. And then we got, it should be here. Skipped over it. Not my day. Oh gosh. Okay, we finally found it. Bear with me. Yeah. And we have Samadhana, yeah. And this last one is to do with, well, I made another mistake, but I'm not going to go there with you now. Maybe in a couple of years when I redo this, made a bit of a mistake on something, but it doesn't matter. We have Samadhana. Samadhana means to do with your using all these different ideas and trying to find a common union and a common individuality of yourself to being free from these various things. Upeksha, Titiksha, Shraddha, contentment. I mean, the word contentment, I said Santosha, but you can also have Shama. Shama is a mental contentment, a mental contentment, a mental calmness, okay, not being affected by things, to be impartial. Samadhana and Dhamma. So Samadhana means that we can try to find a union of ourselves, a union of all these different ideas, okay? Imagine, like I said earlier on in part 1, the idea, bear with me, but Brahman is one universal force energy, and all the other gods in Hinduism, Vishnu, Shiva, Kali, Ganesha, etc., Kali, they're all aspects, i.e. manifestations of this one Brahman. So the idea is all these deities in Hinduism that you see, they're all just an idea of this one universal, omniscient, omnipotent force called Brahman. In the same way, these 6 rules are said here. These are all parts of you. You are supposed to be free, independent, and by considering all these different ideas, you can hopefully connect to the universal forces more. Because all these are doing is they are teaching us about, uncluttering ourselves, freeing ourselves, how to avoid getting enslaved on people's thoughts and ideas, how to become impartial, how to not become tainted or affected by the things around us. how to develop an ability of discernment, decision, what is real and what isn't real. What isn't real is the I. Your I is in their idea not real. The real you is yourself. And when I talk about reality, we're not talking about physical reality. We're talking about your spirit, your consciousness, your chitta, they call it, your chitta, and your intellect, your mind. Now, these are not supposed to be physically identifiable, like a book, a tree, a lock, a ball. These are all abstract ideas. So your self is made up of mystery and energy, which isn't a physically identifiable object. So the I part of you, your I, is just a way of interacting with your identity, with the world around you. But your true self is what we're hoping we can awaken, and that we'll be able to connect with the universe. So the ways of connecting, jnana yoga, if you like, talks about what the things I've just described, ways to try to do this. I will run through them one more time because I really want you to listen to these terms, make a note of these terms, either physically or mentally, or just, if you want, to enjoy the sound of the words, really, and or if you just want to listen again to these lovely terms. Perhaps you just want to see my face for a longer period. So, jnana yoga is one type of yoga. It's not the physical form of hatha yoga, and it involves a system. Viveka, meaning discernment, opinions, ideas. Vaishagna means not being colored by the experiences we have in our life. Mumuksha, the desire to wanting to be free, the desire to wanting to liberate yourself and free yourself. And the fourth, they have this fourth pillar of this is called, there are 6 little ideas, if you like, called Shat Sampat. Shat means 6. So these little 6 ideas form the part of the fourth pillar, okay? Viveka, discernment, uncoloredness, the desire to be free. They give you a little list of 6. The little 6 of 6 is uparati, developing this freedom, or freedom from an objective reality, again. Then you have titiksha, means to be strong, can believe in what you're doing, have that inner faith in that resolve and that firmness.